Hello everyone. Today I, Agrim Jain, along with my colleague Gaurav Dabas, will be going to present on the topic pharmacogenomic applications for the treatment and diagnosis of HIV infection. In the previous subject, we have already discussed about the STDs and the HIV infection. So today we will be talking about the drugs and the genetic connection between the disease and the medicine and the drugs to alter the infection in our body.
Good morning, everyone. I am Gaurad Abbas. So, as my colleague stated, we will going to discuss about some of the genetic aspects related to the pharmacological drug action that is specifically involved in the treatment and diagnosis of the HIV infection.
So these are the particular topics that we will be covering. First, we'll give you the introduction about the pharmacogenomics, the drugs. Then we will be telling you about the network medicine that have been present, and then about the pharmacogenomic aspects of the drugs discovered and the application of them with the drug interaction and the genomic interaction inside the body. Then we will be telling you about the various mechanisms, or you can say the applications of the pharmacogenomic of the drugs. And lastly, we will be sharing the references through which we had gathered the information. So what basically pharmacogenomics is, basically it encompasses disease characterization at the genomic level and its relation with modern technologies of drug discovery. So what we do is in pharmacogenomics, a particular drug is discovered for a particular disease. And we know that in diseases, basically the genes or a protein on a chromosome is responsible for the infection, for the interaction inside the body. And if we could curb that gene or the protein inside our body by a certain drug, we can stop the infection or the cycle of the disease inside our body. So pharmacogenomics is basically the study of that factor. So today many computational methods are increasing, which has been used to understand gene expression and protein-protein interactions and to carry out genome-wide association studies. With advancement of technology, we can now use computerized methods to directly target our drug into the gene of or the structure or the protein of that particular disease or the germ that is responsible, and we can easily find out what is the result and what can be the aspect inside the human body. So pharmacogenomics is one such branch that is doing that. So the main focus is on the identification of pathogenic pathways and the disease phenotypes to improve target identification, drug selection, and clinical trial design. As we know that a particular drug or a gene is concerned or is related to that disease, we can easily stop the germ or that protein of the infection to curb and stop that disease from following inside our body. So we will identify that disease cycle or that hotspot in the particular sequence of the disease inside our body, and we'll curve that so that in our studies we can identify the target easily and design a particular clinical trial accordingly. Lastly, it says that this would particularly prove to be useful in drug designing as the reasons behind drug failure success can be easily understood. Yes, if we will be knowing our target easily, so we can easily design a drug. Suppose if we have our drug designed for gene, so we can easily design a drug for the gene. But if we have to curve something at the protein level, we can easily curve at the protein level. So this will help us to identify in a more defined and a precise manner and help making us easy for our drug designing. So this is the network medicine. Network medicine is basically the imperative that drugs have their own set of adverse effects along with the required therapeutic effect. If we have a drug for a certain disease or a certain cause, so we know that drugs not only affect only that area, it might provide efficacy, but sometimes they show some therapeutic effect or some adverse effects that can show side effects to other organs of the body. So during the dose optimization process, genetic differences of an individual have to be accounted for, as genomic variations could significantly alter the metabolism. and therapeutic response of a drug. When a drug is devised and it has to be administered inside a body, we don't know at the initial stages what the concentration will be and what amount has to be given. So this is the very vital process, as it can alter the genetic uh, constitution of a person. It can cause mutation, and since we know that every individual responds in a very different manner to each and everything, because our body is similar in a quiet manner but also different in some manner. So when genomic variations occurs, and we see that there are certain changes in the genetic constitution of an individual due to a drug, so this is all we will study with the help of the network medicine. Lastly, it says that it justifies the need for identifying and classifying genetic changes and genomic variations in individuals for the design of personalized therapy. Summing up all, we will be telling that the network medicine is basically the medicine or the drug that we have devised is basically affected by many other factors and not only about its composition. Suppose a person who is a young man of 20-25 years, he can tolerate a medicine of 50 mg, but so is not the case for a 10 to 15-year-old boy. And if we say that a person, suppose a male can tolerate a medicine, but a female can cause some hormonal imbalance due to that same medicine. So this is again related to the genetic constitution, and it can also affect with the interaction of the other drugs. Suppose if you have taken an antacid and you take up you can say HCl blocker. So this can again cause some other effects, adverse effects. So this is how the effect of any particular drug and the patient ability to tolerate the dose and side effects of a drug depends on many factors, which includes the age, genetic makeup, pre-existing illness if there is any, the dose of the drug administered, and the interaction of the drug with any other drugs the patient might be taking. So this is all about network medicine that we have to consider at the initial stage of our trials or of our drug administration, which works in compliance with the pharmacogenomics of the study.
So in the following section, we gonna be discussing about one of the main component of this presentation, that is pharmacogenomic aspects in HIV infection. That is, various genomic studies are involved if we complement it with the pharmacological studies related to any drug composition and how it physiologically processes into the body. We can get better treatments, and can say better treatments even from the existing ones. So we are going to be discussing about specifically here about the HIV infection, about the treatment of the HIV infection. So as you know, HIV is an infectious viral disease that affects nearly 36.7 million people worldwide. The mortality rate of this disease is 1.1 million. So from this fact, we can figure out how much devastating and contagious infectious disease is the HIV, and for the mankind, it is impossible to survive in such a situation. In the physiological process, viral proteins play a major role in the infection, which frequently interacts with host genes. In many diseases, it is seen that many host factors are engaged with the viral or the bacterial factors that help in the physiological processing into the body. So here, viral proteins are engaged with the host genes. So several HIV proteins like GAG, VPR, TAT, ENB, NAF, POL, VPU, REV, and VIF are known to interact with several host proteins, and they form a network that easily proceed with the host immunity and could not be eliminated because of such a resistance of that connection. And of all the HIV proteins, TAT and GP120 proteins have more connections than other proteins. So these two are the major that play a major role in the connection between the viral proteins and the host factors to enable the multiplication of DNA or RNA into the host. So in the next few slides, we would be discussing about some of the questions. So what are the various studies reveal and what can we do and how can a better treatment for the HIV infection can be carried out for the mankind. So first question, why development of vaccine for HIV is proving to be difficult in the current situation? As we have advanced in the technologies, but such technologies are not proving to be fruitful to get the to gather the data and for the analysis of such data to develop a vaccine. In the present scenario, network analysis indicated that HIV reprioritizes cellular processes such as transcription, proteasome activity by hijacking the transcriptional machinery of the host. So, as this point states that HIV is major where cellular processes such as transcription and proteasome activity play its role. So it inhibits the transcriptional machinery of the host, which proves to be in deteriorating the immune response of the body. Also, the rate of replication of the virus is much faster than the immune response of the host. So this is a major factor where the human body, or we can say the immunity, lags. The replication rate of the virus is much higher than the immune response of the host. So, what are the various studies have revealed for the treatment of the vaccine for the HIV? CD4 and CD8 T cell responses were predicted with the analysis of RNA expression profiling of peripheral blood mononuclear cells and the lymph nodes. So, here we can say that every disease is every disease enables its processes in the physiological concept by the different ways. So here RNA expression play a major role in the processing physiologically. RNA expression profiling of peripheral blood mononuclear cells and lymph nodes attacks the CD4 and CD8 T cell, which doesn't enable the responses of the immune, which can help in the elimination of such infection. Viral load was lesser in people who carry B27, B57, and B58 HLA alleles. So, from various research experiments, it has been stated that people who carry B27, B57, and B58 HLA alleles, viral load was lesser as compared to people who doesn't carry these alleles. So it is the major factor which can prevent that such kind of infection. This was associated with more enhanced CD8 response. So as a result, people who carry B27, B57 and B58 HLA alleles, this is associated with more enhanced CD8 response of T cell. So how this kind of analysis can help in the vaccine design? So here we are discussing majorly about the pharmacogenomic aspects. So various genetic responses which play a major role in the vaccine design and how these kind of genetic changes can affect the efficacy of such a vaccine into the human body. So various system analysis can also demonstrate the association of antibody titers with immune pathways like the toll-like receptor pathways. So various pathway involved in the efficacy of such a vaccine and the overall infection caused by the HIV. So here toll-like receptor pathway play a major role. It is an honest to identify the protective genetic variations in the functional differences in the HIV specific CD8 T cells and their controlling molecular networks for a more rational vaccine design. So from these analysis, the major outcome that we can figure out is that CD8 T cells play a major role in the HIV interaction, that is viral interaction with the host cell. So controlling these molecular networks can prove to be beneficial for more rational vaccine designs. So we can advance by taking such a reference to proceed with fruitful vaccine design that can help in the treatment of these kind of STDs that are profound by the HIV infection. So various references we have taken from these studies. We have figured out such stats from this reference. You can visit for more information to this site. So here we conclude our presentation. I with my colleague Agrim Jain sign off and hope we have delivered the objectives that we have promised to do so. And thank you for your patience. We will meet in the next presentation.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and being patient listeners.